Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your patience. Thank you for joining the 2023 Financial Literacy Workshop by the Finance Coach BK platform. I do apologize sincerely for the late start. Our first speaker of the day is having some unexpected issues, but we will go ahead. I will introduce the workshop and start off, and then we'll have our second speaker take over at about 5. And if we're lucky, if Dr. Theo is able to join us, then we can take his session. Can you please hear me? Dorcas, can you confirm that you can hear me?
Yes, Mike, I hear you clearly.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm going to start first by thanking everyone that signed up. I thank you for wanting to do things better for yourself. I thank you for also encouraging the platform, because if we do these things and you don't show up, then we're wasting efforts. So, and then I would also like to say congratulations, because it's the beginning of a positive movement for you financially. It's the beginning of a positive movement for you financially. I want to thank, on behalf of everyone that would attend the 4 days, we have 6 speakers, but we have 4 days. This weekend, we have dedicated to young people. We would be focusing on how to help young people move up financially. On your behalf, I want to thank all the facilitators, my guest speakers, people of wide experience and knowledge who have accepted to speak to us all for free. I'm sure that if you're taking time out to look at what's happening online, especially during this summer holiday, you would see that some coaches have put together programs and they are billing people for it. But with the help of my partners, my friends, some of them are my mentors. They have volunteered to help us, and they will be speaking to us free of charge. And for that, on your behalf, I say a very big thank you to every one of our speakers. Some of them are around the call, some of them are not around the call today. I also want to thank the people who have kindly provided the finance to support the giveaway, because this weekend is for young people. We put a little bit of financial motivation to help whoever is interested in winning to start, to get something to start an investment, their investment and journey. I think I can see Dr. Theo. Dr. Theo, you're online. Thank you. I'm happy you were able to get through what the issues were. So I would just like to also say that everyone should listen carefully. Every time I have an opportunity to listen to a finance talk, I'm looking for that thing that I haven't known before, that thing that I haven't paid so much attention to. It's important that you examine your habits. It's important that you examine yourself and say, what have you been doing wrong and what can you do better? I saw a lot of comments already in the chat box where people say they want to improve and do things better. And most importantly, when you learn the actions, take actions for yourself and make sure you actually do those things. I would read Dr. Theo's profile just because we need to save time. And I want to thank Madam Ramat. She's joining us from Accra. She's our next speaker. Thank you for doing this with us. I thought I saw Engineer Nii earlier on. Thank you, sir, for doing this with us. Yes, thank you, Ramat. Thank you so much. I think I also saw some, later we'll get to acknowledgements, but I did see some senior friends around the call. And it's a lot of motivation for me when I see people quite senior to me in the financial space joining this kind of conversation. It's a lot of encouragement and motivation. So quickly, Dr. Theo, I've been playing this video while we were waiting for Dr. Theo to get to his location. But the important thing you need to understand is that the 5 people who will be joining me to speak to you in this workshop are people that you can trust, their experience and their knowledge. Dr. Theo has spoken to a group of people that I mentor in a foundation that I run. Earlier, I think in 2020, he spoke to us, and we're grateful and happy to have him again join us on the Finance Coach BK platform. Dr. Theo has an MSc in Development Economics from the University of Port Harcourt, Rivers State, Nigeria. He has an MBA in Business Administration from Enugu State University of Science and Technology. He's a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria and also the Institute of Corporate Administrators of Nigeria. He has attended both local and international courses from prestigious institutions such as Harvard Business School and the London School of Economics. Dr. Theo, I'm going to stop sharing now and have you take over.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Am I expected to put on my camera, or I could?
I think if you can just maybe tilt your camera a bit so that we can see a little bit more of your upper view. Yeah. Yeah, this is nice. Yeah.
That okay?
Yeah. Now your screen and your sound is a little bit low. Do you want me to share your slides, or should I give you rights to share the screen?
No, give me the right to share the screen so that we can move a little faster.
Okay.
Please.
So make co-host. Okay, so you can share now.
All right, thank you. All right, can we see my screen now? Can everybody?
Yes, I can see your screen. Is this a full view already? Can you make it full view?
No. I'm trying to make it a full view now. Sorry. Okay, is it better now?
Yes, it is.
All right, thank you. All right, from where I am, it's evening, and I believe that most of us are joining from Nigeria, so I could safely say good evening. But if you are far away from us, it could be afternoon. But let me say good day to everyone that is on this call. Let me take the opportunity to also thank my dear friend and sister for giving me this opportunity. It's a rare privilege to speak to distinguished audience such as you. We would just be spending a few time together to remind ourselves of the things that most of us know, or to remind ourselves of how we can manage our finances. Finance is one thing that we can never be out of, from childhood to adulthood. When I was growing up, the challenge was whether to buy oranges in the village on credit or not. Now the narrative it's a bit different, but it's all still about finance. And when we look at the topic that is before us, understanding behavioral finance and mindset and financial goal setting, budget and cash flow, very many things to talk about, but we'll try to make it as interesting as possible within the short frame of time that we have. What we have in front of us, it's a human brain. It's a human being with a brain. And on the left-hand side, we have the pound sterling and all the currencies of the world, most of it, including Nigeria. And so this man that is in front of us, sorry, I know that we also have female on the call. So this man represents all of us. His brain is filled with how you can make pound sterling, dollars, naira, and euro, and all the currencies as we may have. Okay, so that's the challenge that we have. In a short period, we'll be looking at all of these that is in front of us. We won't read through them because of constraint of time, from introduction to conclusion. And then we'll look at the budget rule, the financial mindset. All right. Let me take us to the holy books, the Bible. And I'd like to apologize that this is not a religious setting, but whether it is religious or what we have here, it speaks truth to us. And it says that as a man thinks, and here man connotes both women and men. As a man thinks, so he is. As a man thinks, or as a woman thinks, so he is. And on the right-hand side, we have two pictures. One of a man that his brain is locked, and another that has an open mindset. And I'd like to plead with all of us today that we should have an open mindset, irrespective of our beliefs, of our understanding. Let's have an open mindset in the next few minutes that we'll share together. Okay. Some statements of facts. Statement number one is that wealth is about your mindset. Wealth is about your mindset. And later on, we would see that this statement is true. And you can't be wealthy until you truly believe that you can be wealthy. So until you truly believe that you can be wealthy, you can never be wealthy. So wealth is not necessarily about money. Wealth is not necessarily about money. And our older persons on the call would agree with this statement. And lastly, wealth would not necessarily translate to happiness. If you are wealthy, it will not necessarily translate to happiness. No wonder we had stories of very wealthy people who have committed suicide towards the end of their years. We have seen head of very wealthy people who regretted their lives at the end of the day. You know, so wealth is not synonymous with happiness. Okay, Clay Stinson, in an article, and I encourage everyone to please look for this article to read it. It's a very interesting article that I believe that if you read it will change your mind, will change the way you think. In an article entitled How You Measure Your Life, Clay Christensen said, I have concluded that the metric by which God will assess my life isn't dollars, isn't naira, isn't pound sterling, but the individual people whose life I have touched. So which lives I have touched. The question that is, if you want to, you are pursuing wealth, when you get the wealth, what's it for? So what is the wealth for? That is a critical question. And we all need to answer that question in our pursuit of wealth. What do we need the wealth for? Is it just to satisfy our personal needs? Yes, money and wealth is good. The Bible says that money answers all things, but it does not answer everything. It cannot give you happiness. So when you get the wealth, what's it for? And I encourage everyone, once again, to read this article, How Will You Measure Your Life? Okay, so let's go dive a little bit into the topics that we have, behavioral finance. And the first question is, what would be your choice if you are confronted with the following scenario? Scenario number one, choosing between a 90% chance to win 10 million naira or a guaranteed 2 million naira. What would be your choice? That's the first choice. That's the first scenario. Second scenario is B, 90% chance of losing 90% chance of losing 100 million naira or a guaranteed loss of 2 million naira. What would be your answers in these two scenarios? Take 2 minutes to just answer those questions quickly and we go. 1 second, it's gone. 2 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute is gone, and 2 minutes. So if your choice is guaranteed 2 million in option A, and 90% of losing 10 million in option B, you'll probably fall within the answers that most people would give. But if you look at it critically, your answers are suboptimal. 90% of 10 million is 9 million, and which is higher. So why didn't you take the 90% chance of winning 10 million naira? Why did you choose guaranteed 2 million? In B, you probably would have chosen 90% of losing 10 million, which is 9 million. And that is higher than the guaranteed loss of 2 million. Your choices, your answers in these scenarios are as a result of your mindset, what you have believed, everything that you have believed. You perhaps you are risk averse, and your risk averseness is a result of your environment, the environment with which you grew. Your beliefs, everything that you grew up with, would have influenced your decisions in these two scenarios. They may just be, it's an hypothetical question, but it will test you, to tell you what your belief structure is. Some people who are high risk takers would go for the 90% chance of winning 10 million. They would say, no, I'm not interested in the guaranteed 2 million naira that I will win. I'd rather go for that. Again, that is dependent on your beliefs, everything that you believe, how you grew up, and that's why some of us, for instance, cannot do skydiving because of the environment with which we grew up. Okay, so under the normal finance, under the traditional finance, the finance function deals with investment decisions. Finance function deals with investment decisions. It deals with dividend decisions, I beg your pardon. It deals with financing the decision, and it deals with how liquidity can be made available to the individual or to the company. These are basically the four functions of the finance manager or the finance department, okay, in a traditional finance function. The finance function also has some basic assumptions. The basic assumptions of the finance function has that investors are rational. That's to say that you and I are rational human beings. But that may not necessarily be true, that investors value securities on the basis of maximum expected utility or return. So investors are unbiased. Some of us that are old enough, when we invested some years ago and we lost money in the stock market, we were persuaded by friends. All right, we were persuaded by friends, and some people didn't even understand the fundamentals of the companies that invested in, just because your friend came to you. And that also still happens, particularly in the insurance business. At a time, a nephew of mine who used to work in the insurance company came to me I am under pressure. Please, I need you to take a policy. I didn't ask, and I invested in that policy, and I lost. The same with the shares and the rest of them that we buy. Most of us do not understand. So it is not correct that investors in most cases are rational. Okay? That there is the second assumption that there's no information asymmetry. That's to say that information is readily available to everyone that who wants to invest in a company. It may not be true as well. Sometimes the information is not true, is not available, or it is tinted. It is colored in such a way that it can convince you. Okay? The third assumption is that markets are efficient. No, markets are not efficient. That markets are efficient and represent true value of assets. It is not true. It is not true. The markets are most times are seen as birds that are in the air that you shoot and you may miss it. It is seen as birds in the air. They are not very efficient because these assumptions are not always true. These three assumptions are not always true. All right. Let's go to behavioral finance. I like to pose a question to all of us here. All of us here, I want to assume are either Christians or Muslims. I want to assume that you are either a Christian or a Muslim. So I put a question to you. As a devoted Christian or Muslim, mark my words, devoted. That word devoted is essential. Would you invest 100 million? If you have 100 million naira, would you invest in a gambling company? Would you invest it in a gambling company? And if it's yes, why? Why yes? If it's no, why no? But I want to assume that as a devoted Christian or a Muslim, our religion is against gambling. So your answer most likely would be no. Would be no. So your behavior will be affected, or your investment decision will be affected by some environmental factors around you. So behavioral finance was made popular by the pioneering works of Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, and they are titled Rational Choice in the Framing of Decisions. Behavioral finance relates to the psyche of investors and its role in financial decisions. So your psyche will affect your financial decisions, the decisions that you make in financing. And that's why even if the gambling company will give you 100% return on your investment, because of your psyche, you are likely not to put your money into that gambling company. Or you rather want to go to a company, invest in a company that has ethics, has ethics that are acceptable to the society, so that you can get a 5%, 10% return on your income, on your investment, I beg your pardon. It's 10% or less return on your investment, rather than investing in a gambling company that would guarantee you a 100% return. Investors are not always rational, and they are influenced by their emotion. Investors are not always rational, and they're influenced by their emotion. As we go ahead, we would see the effect of emotions on our financial decisions later on. So, in a graph here, we are seeing that, so in a behavioral finance, psychology and sociology. Psychology, which talks about our psyche, our emotions, and the society, the environment, would influence our financial decision, would result to our behaviors, our financial behaviors. And that's why some people believe that they have 100 million today. They say, God has given me, they spend everything, but they believe that another will come. It is their mindset. It is their mindset that God gives and God will take, another one will come tomorrow. But that may not always be true. That may not always be true. You may not have the opportunities tomorrow. We'll go ahead and we'll see the reason. So the assumptions of behavioral finance, some of the assumptions of behavioral finance, investors use the imperfect rule of the term in making their decision. And most times, because of the effect of emotions, we use the imperfect rule of the term. We sit down and we do not do thorough analysis, and we take our decisions. So investors are not always rational in their decisions. And emotions and the herd instinct play a major role in our investment decisions. And that's why today, when we hear that, oh, this company A is very profitable, I come to tell you that company A is very profitable, and I influence you. And that's why today you have the social media influencers, and the influencers and all of us, like the herd, follow that direction without looking at the fundamentals and understanding of the organization or of the investment. And that's why today, for instance, even if I bring up a Ponzi scheme, it is most likely that people would still fall for it because of the herd instinct and the emotions that play with it. The perception of risk and returns are influenced by how decisions are framed. That is to say that if the decision, the problem of the decision, how the problem is framed, would now be the determinant of your risk and return. So that would influence how you look at the risk, whether it is risky or return. So if I come to you that, well, look, and you believe me, that, look, this project, it's going to be very profitable, and every month you are going to get 100% return on your money, okay? And there's no risk whatsoever. Mr. A has gotten, has benefited from me. Mr. B has benefited from me. You are likely to fall for it. So it depends on how it is framed. The difference between market price and fundamental value caused by bias and emotions and social influences. So it's the difference between the price that you pay and the fundamental, the value of the asset is based on your emotion and the social, particularly now, the social influence that you have. The prices are pushed by investors to all kinds, either up and down, because of depending on whatever they want to achieve. Okay, some of the basic concepts and biases of the behavioral finance. Behavioral finance is about mental accounting. Okay, people have propensity to allocate money for specific purposes in their heads. Okay, you have the mental accounting. Okay, I have 10 million today. I'll put it 2 million here. I put 2 million there. I put 3 million there. And in most cases, that mental accounting does not work. Okay, we talked about the head behavior, that you are following the crowd. You flow with the crowd. We talked about the head, that you flow with the crowd. There is an emotional gap. Okay, decisions are clouded, or be clouded by emotions. Their decisions are clouded by emotions. Okay, and that's why the musicians, for instance, are masters at this. You go to a party and you didn't intend to spend any money, and they call your name, and then you begin to, your head is swollen, and the 10,000 that is in your pocket, which you intended to use to buy food, you spend it because of emotions. Because of emotion, or that you don't want to say no to somebody who has come to you to invest in it. Uncle, please, this investment is very nice. If you don't do this, they will sack me in my work and rest of them. Say, okay, come back tomorrow. I'll give you 2 million. And at the end of the day, the 2 million is gone. We also have the anchoring, the concept of anchoring. The decisions are based on predetermined factors. Okay, you have a predetermined factor. Whether that factor, the circumstances have changed that factor, you still take that decision because that's what you believe in. And you have overconfidence because you took this decision. Or I'm a chartered accountant, I know everything. Nobody can come to tell me that what I have, no, it's bad. And that's why I said, please have an open mind, irrespective of our qualification, irrespective of what we have done. And those things, circumstances and environment may have changed it. So overconfidence can also be a pitfall in behavioral finance. The confirmation bias, people like to confirm. I talked to Mr. A that I think that this decision, this investment decision, this financing decision that I take, I believe it's okay. And I'm able to confuse you. And you say, yes, that's it. And of course, most times you go to people who would confirm your argument. You won't want to go to somebody who has a superior argument and they want to argue against what you already know. So those are some of the biases that we have. Those are some of the biases that we have. Now, let's make sense with all of this. In a nutshell, what we are saying in a nutshell is that emotions, our beliefs, society, and our biases would have influence in our financial decision. Emotions, beliefs, society, and our biases put together would influence our financial decision making. That's what the essence of all that we have said a few moments ago. Okay. Okay, financial goal setting. He who fails to plan, plans to fail. He who fails to plan, plans to fail. Before we proceed, let me ask a question. As a young man, as a young woman, as a young person, as an adult, at my age, what is your financial goal for the next 6 months, 1 year, 5 years? What is your financial goal for the next 6 months, 1 year, 5 years? You have to answer that question yourself. Just jot it down if you have any. If you've not had any financial goal, this is a good opportunity for us all to have those goals. All right? And so financial goals are the specific objectives set in order to achieve a financial purpose or purposes. So they are specific objectives that you and I may have put in place in order to achieve specific financial purposes, objectives, as the case may be. The desired financial outcomes, these desired outcomes that we intend to achieve in the next 6 months, in the next 1 month, in the next 1 year, in the next 5 years, give a sense of direction. right? It will give you a sense of direction. It will give you a sense of purpose. And of course, it will give you and I a sense of focus. Otherwise, they say that money has a spirit. Have you wondered why sometimes you have money? Once money comes in, you find a whole lot of calls coming in right, left, and center. Oh, I want this. Please, I am broke. I am this. I am that. I am this. I am that. So if you do not have a financial goal that is specific, of course, you will find that whatever amount that you have, it will fly off just like the wind. And these goals must have to be smart. And what do we mean by smart? Smart means that the objective has to be specific. Okay? It has to be specific. What is your goal? Okay? I need to have 10 million naira in 6 months' time. That is specific. Saved in the bank, or saved in stock, or saved in a bond, all right? Or in a euro bond, or in a treasury bill. Okay? So the goal has to be measurable. Okay? Because if you cannot measure it, then it's not a goal. So in 6 months' time, you should be able to say, yes, I determined at day one that we'll have 10 million naira in a euro bond. Okay? And this is 6 months. So you can ask yourself, how much of this do I have? Is it achievable? If your income, it's let's say 100,000 in a month, all right? And you have set an objective of 10 million naira in 6 months, it's most likely that it's not achievable. It is most likely that it's not achievable. So you may have set a goal that is not achievable. So the goal has to be relevant. The goal has to be relevant, and it has to be time-bound. It cannot be forever. There has to be a specific time, and that's what SMART means. Okay, why financial objectives? Why do we have to set financial objectives? Financial objectives helps for us to prioritize our savings and expenditure. Our savings and expenditure. You can't save only. And of course, because you would have to eat, you have to buy clothes, you have to pay transportation. Even if you have a vehicle, you have to buy petrol, as we call it here. And you have other expenditure that you need to meet. So it will help us to prioritize our saving and our expenditure. The two are important. You need to balance both of them. It enables us to have strategic financial decisions, okay? Without a goal, of course, there is no strategy. Without a goal, everywhere, and when you don't know where you are going, everywhere is a way. So the financial goals, setting financial goals would help us to set the strategic in our financial decision because we have an idea of where we are going. It gives a sense of focus, direction, and purpose. It gives a sense of purpose, direction, and focus. Of course, if we set the goals correctly, it will help us to achieve financial stability and security. I wonder, I'm sure most of us who are old enough would have had sleepless nights when we are confronted with financial issues and we don't have the money. We begin to have sleepless nights. So if we set our financial objectives, it helps us to achieve financial stability and security. Financial stability and security. Once you have stability and security, of course, so many other things can happen to us. We will sleep well. We will sleep well. All right? Now, what are the types of financial goals? Okay, we have the short-term goals. There are basically three of them, just like the goals that are set, every objective. We have the short-term goals, those goals that could range between 3 months to 6 months, 3 months to 6 months. So every goal that you set, all right, it has to be short-term, medium-term, and long-term. So the medium-term is to about 1 year to 3 years. And examples are there of the medium-term goals, financial goals. And then, of course, we have the long-term goals. These would range from 3 years and above. In most cases, they also call it strategic goals that will range up to about 5 years and sometimes 10 years, strategic goals. So you can look ahead to say in the next 5 years, financially, this is where I want to be. I want to have a factory. I want to have I want to buy off First Bank of Nigeria, for instance. It's achievable in 10 years. I want to be the majority shareholder of First Bank Nigeria PLC. It's achievable. I want to be the highest shareholder in company A. Okay, I want to have $50 million Eurobond. It's achievable. So those are long-term goals. All right, or you want to build a house. For those of us in Lagos, you could say you want to have a house in Banana Island. All right, it is achievable. Okay, so what are the steps that are valuable for us to set financial goals? Step one is that we must determine where our current financial position. You must be aware of where you are, okay? And in terms of finances, as the accountants would say, what is your net worth? And your net worth is assets, the things that are owned by you, the things that you own. If you have a house, for instance, what's the value of that house? Okay? What's the value of that house? If your house, where is your house? Is it in your village? Is it in Ikoyi, in Lagos? Or you own a house in, say, in London or New York, for instance? Or you own shares in a quoted company on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, or on the New York Stock Exchange, or the London Stock Exchange? What's the value? And then what is your liability? You are owing as well. Okay? So by the time you net that up, you come up with your net worth. So you need to establish that. You also need to calculate your current income and your expenditure. You need to understand where you stand right now. As the accountants would say, if we are looking at a company, we'll be saying, what's your balance sheet? That's what the accountants will say for a limited liability company. What's your balance sheet, your current state of affairs? Okay. The next thing is that ascertain and set your financial goals. You know your position now. You know your net worth. You know your current income, how much you are earning, and your expenditure. So next step is to set your financial goals. And as we said earlier, you must set smart financial goals. No wishful thinking. And I said that there are no more. In the finance world, manners do not fall from heaven anymore. There are no manners anymore. So you must be realistic. You set your goals that are realistic. You can't be earning 100,000 and you set a goal to have 1 billion in 6 months' time. For us that are Christians, of course, a lot of us believe in faith. But I tell you, faith will not work here. So you need to be realistic. Goals must be put in proper perspective. As we said a short while ago, must be short-term goals, medium-term goals, and long-term goals. Step number 3, we develop a financial plan, right? We develop a financial plan. We draw up a budget, which could be weekly, could be monthly, and annual budget. And that budget will guide you. You must understand your cash flow. It's important that you understand your cash flow. Your cash flow, when do you get your salary? If you're a salary and if you're a business person, how much is your revenue on a weekly or a daily basis? And then you translate to a week, to a month, and the rest of them. So if you are a business person that is into sales, when is your sales cycle? How do your customers pay you? Is it by cash or by credit? If it's by credit, how often? When is the credit term? Is it weekly? Is it monthly? Is it 6 monthly? That will influence your financial plan. All right. So if you have debt, try to come up with strategies on how to pay debt. Debt, it's a disease unless it is for investment purposes. Okay. Then you must come up with strategies on how you will make your investments. So if you are current earning, it's 100,000 monthly. How do you intend to double that your income? You could then want to have multiple choices of income, and multiple streams of income that you want to have. How do you do that? All right. So I'm sure that in the course of the webinar series in this few days, Of course, investment strategies will be talked about. So I don't need to go into details in that. Number 4, you need to have a periodic reviews. You take periodic reviews because these plans may not be working. Perhaps your circumstances have changed. You were earning 100,000 a month, and in the course of your strategy, now you have higher income. So you need to strategize. Perhaps your goals were not specific, they are not attainable. You need to adjust them. Okay, so make adjustments based on the current realities. Step 5, we talk about tools. Okay, and I believe as young men, we are all versed with Excel. The simple Excel spreadsheet would help us. We do not need to go and get sophisticated softwares or tools to be able to carry out this step. So the simple Excel spreadsheet would help us. And in case we don't have Excel, we don't have a laptop, and we have an Android phone. Of course, Excel is also on those sheets. Even if we don't have any of that, we can use just a paper and pen to write down our expenditure, to write down our income, and write it down. The most important thing is that it is written down. If the plan is not written, then it's as good as nothing because it will not be before us. So it's important that whatever objectives or plans that we have to be written down, must be documented for us to be able to refer to them from time to time. Okay, let's look at the budget rule. And this is just a simple budget rule. What is a budget? Is a forecast of our income, our revenues, and our expenditure. The budget, simply put, is a forecast of our income, our revenues, and our expenditure over a period of time. And this budget can be weekly, it can be monthly, it can be annually, all right? So we have a budget. And the easiest rule is the 50-30-20 rule. The 50-30-20. 50% goes to our essentials. 50% goes to our essentials. The food, our transportation, our accommodation, and the rest of them. Things that are essential to us. And for us that are a bit more elderly, are medications, because we need those medications. So 50% goes into that. 20% goes to our savings. It is said that we must set 20%, we must pay ourselves that saving in any way you'd like to do it. But don't put it under our pillows as young people. Don't put it under our pillows so that thieves will not come in there. Go to either a bank or a reputable investment scheme and put it there. All right? 20% we must save. And then 30% would be for wants. The wants maybe for clothes, okay? For shoes and the rest of them. So that is the basic rule. That's the basic rule. But if you can do more, for instance, if you can save 30%, well and good. But the higher the savings, the better for you. The higher the savings, the better for you. But do not starve ourselves. We must not starve ourselves because we are saving, so that you save 50% and you do not eat, because we cannot survive without eating. Or we are not paying our rents if we are tenants, for instance. Or we do not pay our fees. Or for those of us, I know that the majority of us are students on this call. Okay. The rich versus the poor mindset. The rich versus the poor mindset. Again, I come back to that quotation. As a man thinks, so he is. As a man thinks, so he is. The rich mindset understands that the first goal is to gain surplus resources. That's the rich mindset. The rich mindset realizes that the first objective, the first financial objective, is to gain surplus resources so that your earnings is higher than your expenditure. That means you have a surplus. So how do you do that? Okay? By whatever means that you spend less than your expenditure. So you have surplus. And that's when you can save. The poor mindset sees surplus as a windfall and uses it up immediately. And that's where you go to the beer parlor and say, declare surplus. You go and you want to buy the latest pair of shoes. And we buy, I don't know, it's not bad anyway. And that's when we now realize that iPhone 14 Pro Max, iPhone 14 Pro Max, I guess. And we don't have anything. And we have spent 1.5 million, 2 million naira to buy iPhone 14 Pro Max just because we want to show off. Because somehow we are able to get a 2 million naira. And that's the first thing that we want to buy. But the rich mindset will not do that. The rich mindset sees time as a useful resource and invest it on work that continues to pay off long after it has been spent, building momentum. Time is wealth. Time is available on equal measures to all of us. But the rich mindset will want to utilize the time on how to improve your mindset, on how you can add value, and how you can improve yourself. But the poor mindset would want almost immediate returns. What can I do with the time that I will get immediate returns? No, the rich mindset is investing for longer term returns. They are not bothered about immediate returns. The rich mindset builds long-lasting relationships. I tell you, relationships is very important. And that relationship that the rich mindset builds on is anchored on trust, on values, on mutual respect, with no expectation of any immediate benefits. The poor mindset relies on immediate monetary rewards. What's there for me? I come to you, please, can you do this for me? The first thing is, how much are you paying me? What is there for me? So I pay you, and of course, there's no relationship thereafter. The rich mindset cherishes reputation. Reputation is very important, and the rich mindset guides it jealously. The poor mindset will always compromise on reputation. They do not care. So what is a reputation? Can somebody refer you? If I ask that, please, I'm looking for somebody that can do this for me. Can I get a referral or you? Can the person vouch for you? Can your mentor, for instance, vouch for you to say, yes, even if you are left alone with $1 million, not one would be missing. That is reputation. And you need to, as young people, you need to guide it jealously. All right, the rich versus the poor mindset. The single biggest difference between financial success and financial failure is how well you manage your money. How do you manage your money? If you are given a 1,000 naira, would you say that it's too small to go and invest it? We've had cases of people who have invested 1,000 naira and have turned it to become millionaires over the years. There are also others that will come back and say, look at that guy. He only gave me 1,000 naira. How do you manage it? Your success financially or failure depends largely on how you manage your money. And money management is important. You have to be prudent on how you manage your money, right? If you are not honest with a little, of course, when the big one comes, you would also be found wanting. Okay, so sorry.
Hello, Dr. Hello, Dr.
Yes,
just a process check. How many more slides do you still have?
No, I'll soon be running up.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, it's loaded. We wish you won't stop, but we have limited time.
Yes, I recognize that. So that's why I'm rushing through it. I think in the next 5 minutes I should be done. All right. So when we talk about financial mindset, the first thing is that you must take care of your health. Please, health is very important. If you are not healthy, you cannot be talking about finances. Even if you make all the millions, God forbid, it will go down the drain. So health is wealth. Please, the first thing that's critical to us in our pursuit of financial success is our health. Take care of our health. So financial security is more valuable than status, right? financial security is more valuable than status. What do I mean here? We may be driving a very massive car and we don't have anything in our savings. We may be seen as big men in society, but deep down in us, we know that we are nothing. All right? So when you want to invest, rather than depending on our emotions, please seek professional advice. Seek professional advice. Take calculated financial risk, and risk can be calculated. That's why I said calculated. You can calculate risk. So take calculated financial risk. Seek professional opinion and advice. Okay, spend less than your income. Rigid mindset does not increase lifestyle unnecessarily. The fact that I was earning 2,000 naira yesterday and my income has increased to 10,000 does not mean that I must increase my lifestyle. It does not mean that I must increase my lifestyle. That if I increase my lifestyle, then the surplus would have gone. Stay out of debt, except for investment purposes. Stay out of debt, except for financial purposes. It is your attitude and not your aptitude that will determine your altitude. That was said by the late Zig Ziglar, and it's current, it is relevant in all our situations. If you are saving money for a rainy day, what are you going to get? Rainy days. So stop doing that. Instead of saving for a rainy day, focus on saving for a joyous day or for the day that you win your financial freedom. That should be our goal. So stop saving for rainy day. Okay? So thank you so much for listening. It is just to whet our appetite. Thank you for listening, and God bless us all. Thank you. That brings me to the end of my talk. God bless you all. All right, over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Theo. Thank you so very much. The comments are very interesting, and it shows that people enjoyed your session. We will not be able to take questions right away because, okay, maybe I'll just let you take the only question that I have in the quick Q&A box. There are some questions in the chat box, so it's a little bit difficult to pick them. But there's a quick question here for you. The gentleman, his name is Peter Samuel, and he says he wants to set his financial goal. How can I set my financial goal for every year? And what measures can I put in place to achieve these goals? So if you answer that, Dr. Theo, and maybe just before you answer, I want everyone around the call to understand that one of the benefits of attending this program is that you can have access to the facilitators and have either direct or indirect mentoring. So as many of you that would like to be mentored in one form or the other by any of the facilitators in this workshop, I'm sure that they would kindly support you and mentor you. We would be happy to mentor you in whatever form. Dr. Theo, please answer the question. Thank you so much.
Okay, you said the name is Mr. Peter, yeah? Okay, thank you for that question. It's possible that you set your financial goals. And for a start, rather than setting it, you can set it for 1 year, but break it down into quarters, every 3 months. And the starting point is ascertaining where you are. Where are you currently financially? And once you do that, you understand your income. What is your income, right? List your income. If your income is fixed, if you're a salary earner, for instance, or you are a business person, you have an idea of how much you earn, okay? And then your expenditure profile. Once you do that, you can then say, okay, this is what I can do in the next 3 months based on my revenue profile, based on my income. This is what I can achieve, okay? I want to get here. And I tell you, there's what we call the law of attraction. I've always found that once you set your mind to achieving something, nature will come to help you, right? Nature will come to help you. You must stick to it. And then even if it's an annual objective that you have set, you can review it every 3 months to see the realities, okay? If you are earning 100,000, and then, of course, if you are in Nigeria, you know that there is inflation. The cost of goods, of foodstuff and other things have gone up. So if you are to save 30,000 out of the 100,000, it may not work. So it's always better to look in terms of percentage rather than a fixed amount. Okay, to say, okay, I will save 30% of my income, of course, and then you adjust it here and there. Okay, so if you realize that 20% is not achievable because of your expenditure profile and you cannot reduce your expenditure, of course, come down to on your savings profile. It's always better to save than to say because of inflation you are unable to save. I don't know if I have answered your question. The slides would also perhaps be made available to you, so you can refer to that section where we talk about the steps to setting our financial goals. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Theo. He says yes, that you've answered his question. But one of the reasons why we developed more than one session and module for this program is so that we can have people with different experience from different backgrounds to come talk to us and help us in our financial journey and how to achieve financial freedom. All that Dr. Theo has spoken to us and discussed with us today are very valid. And as the program goes on, you should be able to relate what he has put on the table today with what you will hear subsequently. The next session, we're going to have Madam Ramat come talk to us now. She's going to talk to us about multiple streams of income, and she's going to talk to us about how to how you can be an entrepreneur. We know some of us are around the corner in school. Most of us are trained in different careers and all of that, but there are other ways of making money. So I can see a question there saying, as a student, how can I make money? If you do yourself so good and you attend all the sessions, you would understand the value in each of the sessions. Tomorrow we're going to have a gentleman that I call a serial investor, and I call him serial investor because he started pretty early and his way is very involved in investing in different forms. So if you come listen to him tomorrow, you would understand why and how you can start building your investment portfolio or begin to make money even as a student. I would also like to refer you to the Finance Coach BK YouTube channel. We started this workshops in 2021. Last year, the 2022 session, the videos there will answer some of the questions that you may have after this year's session. Now, we don't have so much time. I don't want to keep you up. Dr. Theo, thank you so very much. He has an international speaking event this weekend, but he still made our time to speak to us today. Thank you so much. I would refer questions that subsequent sessions cannot answer. I will refer them to you because I can see some questions coming up. Madam Ramat, are you ready?
Yes, yes, Bimbo. Yes, Coach.
Okay. Okay, I will spotlight you now and make you, let me stop Dr. Theo from co-host, okay? And
okay.